Welcome to the YouTube channel of Legally Trust. This video is one of the series of educational videos that will be available on this channel under the category General Awareness.
Hey friends, in today's video, we are going to talk about negligence. Negligence is defined as a failure to act with a level of care that someone of a normal intelligence would exercise under similar circumstances. Let's start with the essential components of negligence. There are three main components of negligence. First, the duty of care. When determining negligence, the duty of care is taken into account first. The duty of care arises as a result of the plaintiff and defendant's connection being legally recognized, which requires the defendant to act in a certain manner. When a relationship between two parties is recognized by the law, a duty of care usually follows. As a result, one party is required to exercise the same level of care that another person in a similar situation would exercise. For instance, owners of a business are obligated to use reasonable caution to ensure that both their staff and clients would be secure on their property. This may entail routinely checking their property for dangerous flaws and correcting them as soon as possible. Usually, the judge decides whether or not a defendant owes a plaintiff a duty of care. Second, breach of duty of care. The plaintiff must also demonstrate how the defendant's acts or inactions violated this obligation. There must be evidence of a duty of care violation in order to prove the obligation. By failing to exert the kind of due care that could be expected of a man walking down the street, the defendant violates this requirement. A jury will assess whether or not the defendant violated an obligation of care according to the evidence. Undoubtedly, a jury will find a defendant negligent if an average man would have known all the defendant knew at the time, if he would have recognized that his or her acts would harm someone, and if he would have done what defendant did at that moment. Third, the actual injuries caused. The defendant's actions are to blame for the plaintiff's losses and injuries, which is the third component of negligence. To prevail on the legal standard of care in a negligence lawsuit, the plaintiff must show that the defendant's actions were the actual reasons for the plaintiff's damage. This is sometimes referred to as but-for causation, which asserts that the plaintiff's damage would not have occurred but for the defendant's actions. Another element to consider is the defendant's capacity to foresee potential injury to the plaintiff from his or her acts. The plaintiff would be regarded to have suffered injury as a consequence of an unexpected act of nature, and the defendant would probably not be found liable. Now, let's talk about contributory negligence. It is customary to refrain from bringing legal action against anyone in connection with an accident for which one has personally been found at fault by demonstrating negligence. He ought to be seen as the loser of his mistake in truth. The defendant in the case of Butterfield versus Forrester erected a pole across a public road in Derby, which is against the law in and of itself. The plaintiff was travelling that way at 8 o'clock in the evening in August when it was beginning to get dark. Nonetheless, the impediment was still clearly visible from 100 yards away. Due to his reckless driving, he was unable to sue for negligence damages because the error was his own. Now coming to the topic of nervous shock. A nervous shock is a mental sickness or injury that is caused by the purposeful, careless or reckless actions or omissions of another person and is governed by English law. It is a shock that results from a valid concern about suffering immediate personal injury. It frequently manifests as a psychological disease brought on by witnessing an accident, such as the harm done to one's parents or spouse. English law severely restricts the ability to seek compensation for nervous shock, particularly when it is the result of carelessness. I hope this video was informative. Thank you for watching.
Hope the information contained in this video was useful to you. We look forward to each one of your support and cooperation in making this initiative a success. For more details about the trust, do visit us at www.legalaidtrust.in. Kindly subscribe this channel and click on the bell icon to get the latest updates about various law-related educational videos. Thank you for watching us and have a good day.